you go with Adrian? There was a good interview, wasn't it?
Oh, it was fantastic. So thank you. And he's a terrific guy. And thank you. Now I've got the radio, I'm organising the radio ads as well. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, we're live, so we've everybody heard that you're going to be on radio. You were on radio and radio ads with regards to your clothing line, so that's fantastic. So welcome, Sally. So today we're going to be talking about financial literacy.
Yep.
And just what we can do in order to increase our financial literacy, because really at the end of the day, we all want more money, and the way to get more money is to become smarter around money.
Mm-hmm.
And so how you been over the last week, Sally? All good?
Oh, yes. And you've had me thinking about this topic because there's only so much you can know. And I always say to people, outsource the 90% of stuff that you're not good at and focus on the 10% that you are. Now, we happened to have our final session on Monday, which you couldn't make to our session, but we were talking about being financially savvy. And it's all the bits and pieces that that I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like with my kids, I'm trying to teach them how to be smart around their money. So, bank accounts now have, if you're online, you can put into, like with NAB, they have a reward saver, an iSaver, and it's a highest interest earning one. If you just even deposit 1 cent, or I don't know if you can do that electronically, or $1 per month and don't take money out, you get a high interest rate. So it's working with the system to make it to your advantage. But, you work in much greater levels than that. And I think the more that we can have that knowledge and, as you say, financial literacy, the greater it's going to benefit you, because, it's so easy to go out. We had this conversation the other week. My kids don't realize how much they're spending because they're tapping their card when they're going out. So they're not feeling money. So it's just numbers, right? And that's all it is. It's a numbers game. So, yeah, I'd love to hear some of your tips or insight about becoming more financially literate.
Well, the first thing, and you brought it up, is that in the past, we used to, I know when I grew up, right, on the weekend, if we were to go out and have a good time, we'd have to take the money out of the bank account before the weekend, and whatever you spent, you spent.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it, right? So, back then, $20 went a long way, right?
Yeah.
And that was a great way of making sure that you didn't overspend. So if you're out at the nightclub and you wanted that extra drink, you couldn't get it unless one of your friends bought you a drink, right? But you were kind of limited with the amount of money you had. And then we got those cards, the ATM cards. So all of a sudden you could go and put the money into the card into the machine and pull out the money. And all of a sudden, well, if you wanted to party on a little bit harder, you
got another $50 out of the bank, or $20. Yeah.
And now it's just tap, tap, tap. And as you said, you're not seeing the money. So the system is actually ganging up against you with regards to the money. They're making it easier and easier and easier for you to spend money. So that's the first thing we need to be aware of, is that we're living in a world where even if you go to Amazon right now, it's just one tap and the whole sale's done. You don't have to put in your credit card or anything like that. They're making it as easy as possible for you to spend the money. So you've got to be very aware of that. So that's the very first thing that you need to do. But no, financial literacy, the first, well, I'll tell you my story, how I came about financial or learning about financial literacy. And it was when I was about 20 years old, and I was backpacking around the world, and I was in England, and I met this little Japanese boy, and I said to him, so what do you do? And he says, I study money. I study how to make money. And it never occurred to me up until that time that you could actually go and do that. So when I got back to Australia, the first thing I did was I went and I found a course where I could improve my financial literacy around money. And I threw my heart and my soul into this course. And as I was going through this course, one night I actually went out with my girlfriend and my brother's group of friends. And I was sitting next to somebody next to me. And he turned around to me and he asked me what I was doing. And I said, well, I'm studying how to make money. He said, well, why are you doing that? I said, because I want to make money. He said, well,
Yeah.
here's my business card. Give me a call and I'll show you how to make money. So I did. I called him and went to his office the next week. And by the end of the week, he had set me up in a business with an ABN. He set me up with a company with an ACN. He had offered to pay me a retainer, which was greater than what I was earning as a salary. So it was a no-brainer plus commission. And that's how I started financial planning. And the moral behind the story is that I was so focused on getting that the universe provided it for you.
Mm.
Right? So financial literacy, it comes in so many ways, right? So and a lot of people might not want to go and do a course or a TAFE course or a private course or a Kaplan course, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people don't want to do that. So what's the first step you can take towards financial literacy? There's a ton of really good books that you can read. And you and I, you said this last week, the book that we read was Joe Vitale. What was it?
The Secret to Attracting Money. The Secret to Attracting Money.
Secret to Attracting Money. And then last year, you know that I'd read Think and Grow Rich, God knows how many times.
Including your son.
Yeah, I wrote it out loud to my son about 3 times. I just stopped re-listening because I got it on Audible as well. So I throw my heart and soul into listening to that. And one of the key messages around that book is that the Great Depression back in 100 years ago, in the 1930s, was the result of people trying to get something for nothing. All right. And last year I had a friend, I don't know if you remember my friend Nick, but Nick and I, Nick is a very good network marketer. He had already built up $1 million network marketing business. And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to go and join with him. He and I used to go to the library together and work out together with the club together as well. And the agreement we had was that he was going to show me how to become a network marketer in LifeVantage. So I thought, okay, well, this is the way you learn. You go to people that build bridges. But what I didn't realize at the time was that Nick was used to $1 million lifestyle anyway, and going through LifeVantage was just too slow for him. So he went and found out one of these crypto investment companies where they're promising you 3% per week. And when you told me that, the first thing that came into my head was the thing by Napoleon Hill. The reason for the Great Depression was that because people were trying to get something for nothing. And this is one of those investments where you invest in so much where you get something for nothing. You know? I did a video on my YouTube channel where if you took the 3% per week and you invested $100, after 20 years, you're going to get $2.4 quadrillion. That makes you.
That's right. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
That makes you richer than Warren Buffett. That makes you richer than the Queen of England. You know, although the Queen of England owns all the land.
The King of England now.
See, I'm beyond the times already. I don't watch the news. What happened to the Queen? Okay, King Charles. And I remember at the time the temptation was, like Nick, he's such a good salesman. He's going, this is a legitimate company because of this, and this. And he pointed it all out. And there was a part of me that wanted so much to believe in him and continue my journey of learning how to network market properly.
Yeah.
But I had this thing with Napoleon Hill, from the book, that learning from the book. And it's 1 year later now. And that investment company called Validus, I'm quite happy to call Validus. Sorry, Billy, because Billy's a friend of mine and he's promoting it. But Validus have stopped paying out now. So the scam's starting to unravel itself. So it's 1 year later. The decision I made a year ago was based on financial literacy I got from a book.
Yeah.
That has saved me from going down the wrong track and also screen over a lot of people, because a lot of people are going to get burnt very badly with regards to investing in this, and then your reputation's online as well. So the first place people can go to learn about things is a good book. Think and Grow Rich is one book. The other book that I mentioned is, or that I really like a lot, is by Robert Kiyosaki, and it's Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he tells a really, really simple story about his two dads. And it's a story, it's not real. So a lot of people think it's real. But basically, he had his real dad, who was a university qualified graduate teaching university, a professor, and his poor dad, that was his poor dad, the educated one. And his rich dad was an entrepreneur, a scrapper. He went out, he built an empire. And as he grew up, the story goes on to, well, I had the two dads to try and learn from. And just by observing the two fathers, his real father was really struggling with trying to make ends meet and all of that. And his poor, or his best friend's father, who was rich dad, was just raking in all the money. So I actually went and asked his rich dad, or his best friend's father, how to become rich. And that's the story behind it. So it's a really good book that will give you a great introduction on how to think differently, because really it's all a mindset. Attracting money is totally a different mindset.
Yep. And I think you should also mention the energy, right? So energy behind it. It's not, if it feels right with these investment opportunities or something, does it feel right? Where does it sit in my gut? So the books are really good for opening your mind to looking at things in different ways. And then how does it make you feel? Does that feel in alignment with you? Does that feel right? Like often when I'm making decisions, the last part to me is, does that feel right? Does that sit right in my gut? So I did that with crypto, but then got bummed up the ass through that one, anyway, that was another story. But once again, any investment, it's always a risk, right? You got to take a risk to make a return. And so how does it fit with you? Does it feel okay?
Yeah. It's Warren Buffett, who never went into crypto. And Warren Buffett's the greatest investor of our generation. And people are asking, why did you never go into crypto? And he said, I don't understand it. I don't invest in things I don't understand.
Yeah, right. Because it didn't feel right. Or maybe it didn't feel right. He just didn't understand it. He didn't get his head around it.
Yeah, it's just that he doesn't understand these things, right? And that's the same thing about your investing, right? If you don't understand it, at least, so people will come to me and ask me about investing and what they can do. And I'll explain to them about the markets and this and that. And the reality is that for most people, getting a good return is 10% in our markets on average. Some years you get better returns, some years you get worse returns, right? But a lot of people turn around and they go, what, 10% is a good return? And the reason why 10% is a good return for these people is because they're not financially literate. They're going to financial advisors and they don't understand the nuances. And that's basically, just have a look at the banks, right? Right now, the banks are charging you interest if you got a home loan. Well, it's about 5%, but they're lending money out at 8%. On the credit card, they're lending money out at 21%.
Yeah.
Now, these banks know how to do it. If you can lend out, and this is what you should be looking at. If you want to make money, right, go and get yourself an asset, and an asset means putting money in your pocket, right? So as soon as you got money in your pocket, have a look at how much money that puts in your pocket. Is that a good investment or a bad investment? And another thing people need to be aware of is this negative versus positive gear. Right? And this is one of the things that accountants love to promote, and accountants are so trusted in our economy. But the reality is, negative gearing means that you are paying for somebody to live in your house.
Right.
And you are hoping that the value of the house, or it doesn't have to be a house, it could be shares as well. You can gear in shares as well. You're hoping that the house is going to grow in value. And fortunately, in Australia, most houses do grow in value. But the house I'm living in now and talking out of now, we actually bought this house for less than the previous owners, and it was a rising market. And the reason why was because they just didn't do their due diligence. So the whole thing about positive and negative geared, you've got to be very careful with negative gearing. A lot of people in the rising economy right now are going to be caught out with interest rates. And there's going to be a lot of people that just can't afford their interest rates. Right? So accountants love negative gearing. I don't like negative gearing at all.
I'd love to talk about this more sometime. So I would, because I think this is why you're a financial planner, and this is why people should come and see you, because if you're not financially literate enough, people like yourself that have a bit more experience and wisdom and knowledge, like literally knowledge, because as you said, one of the biggest factors is people saying, I don't understand. I just don't understand. As you said, the nuances. And so that's why we come to you, because you can direct down the, or suggest a better pathway to follow. And accountants too, but that's a whole other box and dice. But I'd love to chat negative and positive gearing sometime. So, it's complicated.
I mean, there are so many things, but the first thing, the accountant is just a fancy word for the tax collector. Because what do? You go to the accountant, you give him your books, and he says, this is how much tax you got to pay. So he's the tax collector. Right?
You make me laugh,
Okay. And the second thing is, if you've got a negative gear property, how many properties can you purchase?
That's right.
If you've got positively geared property, how many can you purchase? As many as you can afford. So it's positively geared.
You know what I was thinking is, maybe, do you have any mates that are accountants? We could come in and have a really good conversation with them.
I've got a few contacts with accountants. We can do that.
I think that would be really interesting, just to get their insight on little tips for people to take, right? So, just for the everyday person, I think, because there's always tips to be had. And like for you, as you highlighted, I don't understand is one of the biggest things that, it lets people down.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And this is obviously something that I've studied and I'm passionate about. And I know we've come to the end, so I thank you for your time, Sally. And
thank you.
I
look forward to us having some special guests in. Let's invite some people in and dig deeper.
Well, I was thinking today maybe I've got Gregory in to have this discussion with us as well.
Great, that'd be perfect. I mean, we can change the time or whatever. That'd be great. So I would love that. Alrighty, I must dash. I've got a little school.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.